But I just had to put this out there, you know. I think it was either Thursday or Friday that the Supreme Court came out with the what is the word I want to say? Their came out with their opinion on whether Donald Trump should be immune from prosecution. And they said that if he's in an official duty, he has immunity. It makes no sense to me. They have totally ignored the fact that Donald Trump is a convicted felon. He's been convicted of SA. He has been he has been convicted of SA, sexual assault. He has been convicted of groping a woman. Now they come after the verdict. They come out that he was on Jeffrey Epstein's list of going to his island. You know, the debate it wasn't Joe Biden's best, but I think Joe Biden was just as shocked as we were. For the whole 90 minutes, Trump did nothing but lie. He did nothing but lie. And the two moderators, Jake Tapper and Dana Bash, I lost all respect for them. They did not one time, they did not one time say, Mr. President, whatever they wanted to call him, and fact check his lies after everything. They let him tell every lie. He said he didn't know Stormy Daniels, but yet there's a picture going around of him and Stormy Daniels together. Melina was pregnant with his son Barron, his youngest son. She was pregnant with him, and he had an affair with, he had an affair while he was pregnant. Donald Trump has no moral compass whatsoever. And this is why Donald Trump must not ever, ever again have power to become president. Donald Trump is a threat to our democracy. He's a proven liar, a proven habitual liar. He has done, so many things that it's just unbelievable that this man gets away with everything. In the end, it's up to us as the American voters to take and do our due diligence and keep him out of office. All Americans who believe in democracy and fair play need to get rid of him. We have had a racist. We have voted the American people, not myself, and I'm sure not others, but a racist, a wannabe dictator, a racist and racism is rampant in the Supreme Court with the conservatives who wrote that Donald Trump has immunity. I don't understand it. I don't understand how someone who has 34 felony convictions can be even considered for the presidency in basic civics class, which I think they should really start again because I don't think people now, especially the young people, I don't think that they understand the difference, in the separation of church and state. And I just don't know. I think they're being led astray. Joe Biden has provided jobs. He's done a great job considering the the Congress that he is given, because the House of Representatives are full of these MAGA people who are loyal to Donald Trump because they feel if they aren't loyal to Donald Trump, they fear him. They just fear him, you know? And there's so many people that just believe his lies. I just saw, and you can look it up on Instagram, there's a woman who standing there and saying, you know, that Joe Biden apologized for passing the that crime bill in '94 for helping push it through the Senate. Yes, he did do it, and he apologized for it. He said it was a mistake, and it wasn't interpreted the way that it was meant to be interpreted. And black people wound up getting in trouble more so than, more so than than the people it was actually intended for. So you need to those things there. But on a whole, Joe Biden has done more in his 3.5 years, 4 years in office than Trump did the whole time he was in office. So you have this woman there. Her name is, they call her Angela in there, but her name is Angela Stanton. Angela Stanton. She was she's known because Trump pardoned her out of a conviction. Actually, I'm not going to sit here and try to name what she did, but she was a convicted felon. She was the mother of a child. She did what she said, and because of that, she wants Trump. And see, with black people, this is the thing that gets me. And not only black people, I shouldn't say black people, but people say, "Oh, Trump is for the people. He didn't lie. He let these people go. He let these people go." Okay, yes, he did. He freed some people. He pardoned people, but all the people he pardoned were criminals like himself. He didn't pardon any of the people who are fighting the justice system because they were wrongfully convicted. This Angela Stanton, she was a convicted felon. She did what they said she did. She said she was chained to a bed. That part before she gave birth and while she was giving birth. That part I don't understand. But if you commit a crime, no one is above the law. And she, she was separated from her family. She is trying to equate her pardoning, Donald Trump pardoning a convicted felon as convicted felon and lying and saying that Joe Biden is allowing all of these murderers and convicted immigrants coming across the border. True, some are going to come across the border and try to get away from what's going on in their home country. It's no doubt about that some have convictions, and there's no doubt that the process should be vetted thoroughly before they come across the border into the United States. I don't think anybody would approve that. And, anybody would say that is wrong. But this Angela Stanton is trying to, let me see how to put it. She's saying that she was torn away from her family. But you were the cause. You meaning her, Angela Stanton was the cause of her separation from her family. She wasn't innocent. She did what they said she did. And that's no comparison to Donald Trump going to borders, taking children from their parents, putting them in homes. Some of those people still don't know where the kids are. and they haven't been reunited with their kids. They don't know where their kids are. She knew where her kids were, with family members, foster care, or wherever they were. So she knew when she had her baby. She knew who took her baby. She has her children back. She's the same woman who went on Dr. Phil's show and vilified her son and threw her son out because he's gay. He's transgender. She destroyed him on national TV. She wants nothing to do with him. She's that homophobic. So, and she's, Donald Trump. Donald Trump is for the people. It's a lie. She's a scammer. She's a scammer. She's using her thing to scam the black people into voting for Donald Trump. I don't get it. I don't know. These people they must have got beat up too much or got dropped on their head, because this is crazy. Her separation from her family was not the same as the separation of the migrant women from their children in the migrant camps. They were not convicted felons. They hadn't done anything. The only thing they did was they came to the United States. They're asking for political asylum. Whether they get it, that is to be, to be told. But my thing is, one has nothing to do with the other, and I'm just disappointed in everything. I've always loved history. I've always believed in the United States. I've always believed in their power. But as I got older, I began to see for myself, things are not always right. Just like I had a close friend of mine, just a couple of days ago. We were talking. I asked him, was he going to vote? He said, no, I'm not voting. I'm not voting for anyone. But if I were to vote, I would vote for Donald Trump because he gave us those checks, those stimulus checks. Those stimulus checks were nothing. I took them. Of course I took it. It was put into my account. They were put into my account. Yes, I did take the stimulus check. But I took them because for most of us who work, we were only given I feel we were only given part of the money that we as working class people paid too much income tax, while the billionaires and the multimillionaires and the billionaires don't pay half as much in taxes as the ordinary working people does. And that's the mindset of people. They're not seeing the whole picture. They don't understand what Project 2025 is about. And if you don't know, look it up. I can tell you, I don't know everything about it, but I know enough to know that it is not beneficial to anybody, to our country, and especially to our black and brown citizens of our country. Look up Project 2025 if you haven't already, and read it and really understand what it's saying. It's the destruction of the American democracy, the destruction of the Constitution. There will be no constitutional grounds for anything. They want a totalitarian country. They want an authoritative country, which Donald Trump will be head of, and who knows what'll happen. We have not, we have it. You have to read it, and when you read it, because when you read it, make sure you understand. What you don't understand, ask someone else to help you with it, because I feel that most people who are reading these things and going going along with what this project is about. They read, but they don't comprehend. You know, the key to reading is not knowing how to pronounce or say the words. The key to reading is knowing the words and understanding what you read, because you know, Project 2025 is about destroying democracy and putting in a dictator. And from what I read, they said it's been going on ever since the Conservative Party has been doing this. They tried Barry Goldwater, and the people didn't accept him, and he ran for president. He didn't win. He didn't come close to winning. People didn't accept Barry Goldwater. So you have from Richard Nixon up until the Bushes, the Bush family, the father and the sons. They were conservative people, but they were, they were decent people. I guess they didn't go along with the nonsense that the party wanted them to go with, and they didn't have anyone to really push the agenda on, that would push the agenda on, until they met Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a complete imbecile. He's not very well educated. He's, people here in the Northeast, in the area that I live in. I live in the tri-state area, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, the tri-state, area, and we've all known that Donald Trump is a liar, and he's not a fair person. He doesn't like people of color. He's using everybody, and these people don't see it. They honestly don't see the fact that Donald Trump is a danger to the American society as we know it. And if you don't get out and vote, we may have a dictator and no more democracy, and black people will be relegated back to Jim Crow era. When I grew up, Jim Crow was ending. It was ending. But I do remember the after effects of it. I was young, but I do remember the effects that black people were leaving the South like crazy because of Jim Crow. They wanted better jobs. They wanted more pay. They didn't want to work from sunup to sundown in 5-6 days, sometimes even 7 days a week, and they didn't have anything, so they left in droves from the 1920s until the 1970s was known as the Great Migration of blacks from the South. You can look that up also. I know I'm talking about a lot of stuff and like going from here to skipping and not staying on one subject, but I want everybody to really sit down and understand what is going on, because I think most people don't understand and don't really understand what Project 2025 is about. And now, excuse me, Donald Trump is saying that the immigrants are taking black jobs. What black jobs are the immigrants taking? They work in the fields. They work hard. They're very hardworking people. They come to make a living because where they're originally from, they can't make it. Working in the fields is hard work, and I have nothing against the immigrants coming if they're willing to do that work. That used to be the work that black people did. There, on YouTube, there is a segment of, I think it's, it's Edward R. Murrow. I think it's See It Now. It's called The Harvest of Shame. If you go to YouTube and write in Harvest of Shame, you'll see a 1960 documentary which was shown. The day that was shown in 1960 was Thanksgiving. And I remember this show because We had a big Thanksgiving dinner. We always had a big Thanksgiving dinner. My grandmother cooked for us. We had the sweet potato pies, the candy, and the traditional Southern dinner. Two meats on the table. You can pick and choose what you want. And I was always one, I don't like this, I didn't like that. And my mom made me sit and watch it. I was young, but she made me sit and watch it with her. And she said there are kids who would be glad to have what you have, because I had just ate a big dinner, like my grandmother, like I said, turkey, roast beef sometimes, but we always had big Sunday dinners, always two meats on the table at every sitting, you know. And my mom made me look at it to see how how lucky I was as a child. I didn't really understand it, but I happened to come across it on on YouTube, and I watched it as an adult. That is hard work, and if these people, immigrants coming here, are willing to do it, this is what they did in the country. Because I know some people who have came from DR, Dominican Republic. Said they left because, they were farmers. They came off of farms, and they come here because they want to work. And I'll tell you this about the ones that I've been around. That the Spanish, they work hard. They work hard, and they're friendly. They're very friendly people. If they can help you, they will help you. Donald Trump is putting fear and putting. I don't know. I've never seen anything like it. I've gotten along with everybody. I've grown up around all types of people. All nationality, all races, and we basically got along. And if we didn't like someone, we went on, but we gave them the respect that they do, their elders and all. But anyway, I digressed a little bit. But the black jobs, we don't, well, I'm speaking as a black American, we do not want to go we don't want to go back to the fields. No. This is what my dad worked so hard for long. He worked so my sister and I could go to school and we could get better jobs. When I was growing up, it was a big deal, and I didn't understand it. My sister, who was older than me, she graduated. It was a big deal that she was graduating high school and stuff. My mom went to the fifth grade, and my dad, he lived in Virginia. They closed the school, and he only went to third grade because they closed the schools up. They didn't want to integrate. They didn't want to create a disturbance. So rather than to integrate the schools, what they did was they just closed all public schools. They closed the public schools, and they opened private academies, and they were for whites only. They only taught whites. So my parents, my grandparents, my aunties and uncles, they all grew up under Jim Crow. They had friends, and I was young, so I didn't know the importance of what I was hearing, but I do remember stories that they were telling about how black men, their husbands, would go out and they haven't been back. And they were considered, when they went to the police, it was considered, oh, he just left. And they never bothered to look. Because in 1963, the three civil rights workers were killed. That was Schwerner, Mickey Schwerner, James Taney, and Andrew Goodman, I think his name was. But anyway, they were the three workers that were killed in Mississippi. And while they had the Navy down there dragging the river looking for their bodies, um, they actually found black men who were missing, who women thought their husbands just left them, who were actually killed. And so, that's a fact. You can read the case about that. and it stayed it in there. They found 3 or 4 bodies that weren't even the guys they were looking for. It wasn't their bodies, and they found them. So, you know, who wants to go back to that? No, we as Black Americans, we don't want to go back to that. Take away our ancestors, my parents, my dad. He did not work and work and work and work. He worked until he was 74 years old before he started collecting any of his Social Security money from all of his work. And, you know, and so we could go to school, so we could get a better, we could get better jobs than what they did. Because a lot of people left the South. They were maids in the South, and they came to the North to for a job, and they were still being maids, they were still being butlers, they were still being janitors. And me as a kid, I didn't understand it. I really didn't understand it. I said, what was the point? I asked my mother, I remember, I asked her, what was the point of coming north, to leaving the South and coming north to get a job? And you're still a maid, you're still a butler, you're still a janitor, you know, you're still a chauffeur, all the jobs you did down south. She said it wasn't about the job that they left the South for. She said it was about the money. It was about the monetary gain they made from being. They weren't ashamed to be, maids or anything, and they weren't trying to be lazy. It's just that they wanted. If, for instance, my mother said she was paid $30 a month, so 4 to 30, it's like 750 a week. Although the economy was good, the food was, food prices were low. It's still, and you had, and when you could make it, you come north, you can make the $30 a day. You can do what they call they called it day work, domestic work, which they called day work. You got paid. You clean house. You got paid. You got paid by the day, and you can make $35 in one day cleaning a house. So it didn't, it didn't bother them. But everything, nobody wants to go back to that. This is what most Black people, most Hispanic people that I talk to who come here, they want their children to go to school to make a better life for themselves. They will do the hard work. And I respect that, and I understand that, because coming from a Black family that migrated north during Jim Crow to get away from it, partially to get away from it, and from the other things, my grandmother's house caught on fire, and they didn't try to save it because it was in a white neighborhood, and it burnt down. But anyway, again, I digress, but that's ridiculous. Immigrants are not taking Black jobs. We've done our share of that. We've become educated. We're more educated. We've pulled ourselves up by the proverbial bootstraps. This is what they always tell us. Oh, work and take care of yourself. Pull yourself up by the bootstrap. But every time it seems like Black people make great strides, you have somebody like Donald Trump come along and want to destroy it. And the people and the conservatives that are in the MAGA nuts, I call them MAGA nuts, they put them in there, thinking they were going to do this to Black people, do that to Hispanic people, blah, 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 the same old racist rhetoric, the same old nonsense. But what they actually did was they made it hard for themselves. And they don't really understand the fact that that's what they did. They made it hard for themselves, because we're all suffering. Black people, if we have to, we will cut corners. We will cut corners and make do with what we have, and swallow the bitter pill and keep on moving and praying. And I am just done I'm just done. I'm just done. I don't get it. They're buying into, and the black church at one time used to be the most powerful thing for black people. I was young when this happened, and I remember Emmett Till's murder, the murder of Emmett Till. I remember it was in the newspaper, and I remember my dad going into the living room to fix the blinds at the window. And my cousin came and brought the paper in, and he told my mother, he said, there's a boy missing from money like the dollar bill, Money, Mississippi. And I remember my father was standing by the window, and he said, "He's dead. He's dead." I didn't think anything of it, but as I got older, I realized he knew. He knew. He was in, the boy was, Emmett Till was 14, he was in Mississippi, and they came and took him out at night. My dad knew he was dead. He knew he was dead. So this is why they left. They left to get an education. They left to be free from the night riders, from the lynches, from all the crap that goes with it. So, again, Donald Trump is saying black jobs, that the migrants are taking black jobs. And I'm here to tell everybody, from the black people I know, we are not ready. They are not ready to go in the cotton fields. They're not ready to. They ain't ready for none of that. We ain't ready for none of that. You know, my sister has a master's degree, and I know if she was still with us, I know doggone well she wouldn't have wanted to work in the fields. I went to Alabama one time. I saw the cotton field, and even though they have a machine to pick the cotton, there's still little cottons left on the weevils and the. I call it weevils. I don't know what it is, but anyway, they were there, so they have to be handpicked. It takes you out of the field. It's done quick, but nobody wants to go back to that. Nobody wants to be insulted, go back to working and being insulted and be calling a nigger, be saying how lazy black people are while you sitting there serving them at the table. Watch that movie with Whoopi Goldberg and Sissy. I think it is Sissy Spivak. It's called the Long Walk Home. It was about that period of time. Nobody wants to be degraded and work for somebody and be degraded. I mean, that's crazy. That's really, really crazy. So what I'm saying is this. All of these things, there were so many things that happened in that debate that, like I said, Dana Bush and Jake Tapper did not even fact check, call Trump out on it. Trump was allowed to just say what he wanted to say, when he wanted to say it, and how he wanted to say it. So, it's a mess. But as people, we have got to do there. Oh, good morning, Andrea. How are you? No, I was just making this quick. It's supposed to be a quick video, but I see I've been on here for 30 minutes about Donald Trump and this immunity thing, and the latest thing the jackass said that Biden was bringing in immigrants to take black jobs. What jobs do these immigrants take? And them poor people work out in their field, picking those vegetables and whatever there is to pick and doing it. They doing hard work. No, and I was just saying that we are not trying to go backwards and go backwards and go picking in no fields and doing nothing. No, that ain't gonna work. That's not working. And they started calling black people lazy when slavery ended and we stopped working for free. And that's what they want to do, just take us backwards and everything. And then, I don't know if you heard me from the beginning, Andrea, but I was talking about Angela Stanton, I think her last name is, and she's the lady who, the black lady who uh, Donald Trump pardoned from jail because she stole something and then she had a baby in jail, blah, 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 and all of that. And she's trying to say that she was taken away from her children, and it's the same as that America is now talking how how Biden's talking about Trump doing the separation of the children, and she was separated out. That's two different things, but people don't understand. She's a convicted felon. She was pardoned, and she got out of her sentence early and went home to her family. But by Trump taking those children away from their parents, there are still children who haven't found their parents. They're gone. They don't know where their parents are, and their parents don't know where they are. And there are ladies who are still looking for their children. They don't know if they've gone with relatives. They don't know if they're dead. Nobody knows what happened to these kids. This happened under Trump. So, and I'm disappointed. I was telling them how, excuse me, I was telling them how I'm disappointed in how the black church is handling things, because that used to be, the black church used to be the center of it all for like people to go and hear. I remember when Emmett Till got murdered. I lived near too. There was a church on the corner from where I lived. There was a church in the middle of the block, and around the corner there were other churches, and there was a synagogue there, and you saw everybody. You saw white people, you saw black people coming up. They were going to protest what was going on. Well, Andrea, to me, he mean black jobs. The only thing he can mean is putting us back in the field, putting black folks back in the fields, because he says that's what he's bringing migrants over here to take our jobs. The migrants, the people who have money in those countries stay in those countries. The only people that are coming from, the South American countries are the poor people, the people who really don't have anything, the people from DR, Dominican Republic, and I know a few of them, and they're coming because it's farming. There's no money to be made there. That's why when they come, they take they take whatever they give them. Most of the time when they come, they're exploited by their employees. Some of them, they're not even paid minimum wage. We have Boston Market here in my area, very close to me. I used to love to go there and eat. They had, when the last time I went in there, I said, wow, they've got all Hispanics working there. It was a mixture of people working before, which I didn't see anything wrong with it. But they were shut down, and they weren't even paying the people. They weren't paying them the minimum wage, and they weren't even giving them the money that the people had worked for. So the government, Joe Biden's government, they took and they and they closed it up and made them pay the people what they had earned. That's the kind of jobs he wants us to go back in the fields, picking cotton, saying yes, a boss, and all that other old crap they had you saying, and listening to you be insulted, and while you working, they calling you niggas and doing the whole thing. I know the whole story about what went on with Jim Crow, because my parents lived it. My grandmothers, none of them remember not living under Jim Crow. Not living under the segregation of the South and stuff. And I was also telling them, black people left the South just like the migrants came over here from 1920 to 1970. It went on for 50 years. 50 years, because The house we lived in, my mother used to rent the rooms out. It was a big house, and my mother would rent the rooms out, and people from down south would come up, and they would offer. They would get jobs. They would get jobs, and you know, and they would work until they made money, until they could get on their till they found they had saved enough money to get their own apartments. And people left the South for the same reasons the migrants are leaving their countries, because they're coming for a better life for their kids. And it irritates me. And I'm quite sure some slip through and some are criminals. I'm not going to say all of them are perfect, because nobody is. If you really understand, nobody's really perfect. But he's using that to tear black people down, black people who don't know. That's what the black jobs are. That's what he's doing. The immigrants came. I remember there was a thing when it was the Jamaican immigrants were protesting, and I remember a lady. She said, "We do jobs that Americans won't do." Yes, they do, because we've had our share of we've had our time cleaning toilets, being called niggers, being picked at, and all of that. My mom sent us to school to better ourselves, so we don't have to go through. So we didn't have to go through that. We have a black middle class now, and uh, I don't know if you've seen it or not, but I spoke about Project 2025. People don't really understand that is what is going to put us back to the 1950s as far as race relations go. There's so much out here, and I'm trying to say, I'm not telling people what to do, and I'm not narcissistic enough to believe that people are going to listen. But I'm just wondering, do people really understand? And I'm not just asking this to black people. I'm asking this to white people. Do you really understand what is being done with that Project 2025? It's an agenda to destroy the Constitution and to destroy the American government from what it is. There will be no Constitution. It's a revolution, actually, if you think about it. They want to do away with the Constitution. They want to do away with all the laws. And the thing about it is, they have a big chance of doing it. And people don't understand. This is why Donald Trump cannot get in the White House again and have a Republican senator. He shouldn't get in there at all. And he definitely, if he was to get in, he definitely doesn't need a Republican Congress, because if he does get in and the Congress is made up of all the nuts like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, Matt Gaetz, you know, Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, you got the Byron Donaldson, the Uncle Tom Byron Donaldsons, the Tim Scotts, the Angela Stantons, all these people are looking out for themselves. Nobody's looking out for the common person, black or white, you know. Poor people are on attack. They want to stop the progress of blacks being educated and of blacks having, having total mind to know right from wrong and achieve it. It's always been that way over history. If you go back and you read about the different things that happened, like Black Wall Street, and Black Wall Street isn't the only thing. I'm reading a book called Blood at the Roots, and I found out in, I think it was 1910, that there was a race riot before Black Wall Street happened. And this place is Forsyth, I hope I'm saying it right, Forsyth, Georgia. It was Oprah Winfrey did a show from there in 1997. And she said in 1997, it was still a town where no blacks lived in 1997. And the author of this book, I forget his last name, but it's Philip. His first name is Philip, and it's called Blood at the Roots. He was saying his family was from Michigan. They moved south because the south was cheaper, the climate was better. They moved from Michigan, and he thought, they moved there and it was nice. And he didn't understand. He said when he went to school, he had never heard nobody call people niggers. And that's another thing. They always say the N word. I don't know why they say the N word. I just said call it what it is. They didn't call me the N word. Oh, you're an N word. No, they didn't call me. They don't call me the N word. They call me. We tell them what it is. They call me. If they want to call me, they call me a nigger. That's a whole nother story. But yeah, there were all kinds of different attacks on black people. They let my grandmother's house burn down because she lived in it was in a white area. Whites that came and built around her, and they wanted her out, and she never moved. So when her house caught on fire, they just let it burn down. That's what they did. I've heard all the stories, all different stories about it. But I just want people to really think, understand what you read in there. And they keep talking to these kids, so, oh, he sent checks out. What? Those little checks, stipend checks. I'm not going to lie. I got what I took. They put it in my account, and I didn't turn it back, you know? But I had a job. I just feel like they were giving me some of my income tax money back for being. It's a shame a working class person pays more taxes than a multimillionaire or a billionaire. Now, how that sound? That's what I thought it was. But I mean, he got these people souped up that he gonna do this, that, and the other. And people like Ice Cube and that, I thought, people who I thought were really smart, black people were really smart and engaged in the black community. Man, these people are crazy. You know, I'll tell anybody, if you haven't read it or you don't know anything about it, you should at least read Project 2025 for yourself. And after you read that and the agenda of what it's out to do, it's out to take away the Constitution. There will be no more constitutional government in the United States. We will not be a democracy. We will be under dictatorship, and dictatorship by a man who is definitely demented. Excuse me. Who is definitely demented, and I'm not getting why people would let him want him back in office. He's a danger to society. He would pull the plug, the plug. I'm saying the plug. He would pull that. He would press that button for the nuclear for nuclear warfare just because. He's already talking about going away from NATO, things that have been uh, NATO, which means the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, where after World War II, the Allies got together and formed, they would help protect, because America helped protect Europe and um, the Allied forces. A bunch of a bunch of a bunch of countries got together during World War II and formed the Allied forces, and That's how uh, World War II was won. The United States uh, did not beat Germany with the help of some Chinese, the help of the Philippines, uh, and the help of some Germans, the help of some English people. Charles de Gaulle, who was the president of France at the time. Look all these things up. You know, I have meant to be on. I hadn't meant to be online this long. I was just wondering because, like I said, this Supreme Court decision will allow Trump to become a dictator if he's allowed to be in office. And that was the point of this video, but I went a little off topic. It's all pertaining to Trump, but my main reason coming on was to tell people, this election is very serious. And I know you hear every 4 years you hear this is the most important of election. Yes, it is. It's very, very important. We must beat Donald Trump because if we don't, if Donald Trump wins, we're under an authoritarian dictatorship, all combined. Because he's going to make people pay for this, and he ain't going to do nothing for the country. The country is already falling apart, the roads. I've been sick with my back and stuff, and I went out with my friend, and she was driving, and she hit a pothole, and the pothole was so deep, it made my back start hurting all over again. The way I bounced and the way I turned in the car, you know. So, Joe Biden, I tell anybody, I think we could have did better than Joe Biden. We need some young people up in there. But somebody like a Hakeem Jeffries and them that's going to stand up to these people, and Jasmine Crockett and all of that, and Alexandria Ocasio, I'm sorry, I can't even say her name, but you know, AOC and all of them, and the Somali woman. We just need people in there some young people that can stand up to these MAGA nuts in there and get them all out. My thing is we need to vote them all out and start new, because Donald Trump done screwed the country out of so much. He done messed up so much. They took away women's rights. A 14-year-old baby is forced to have babies and stuff like that. The 13-year-old rape victim in Mississippi she didn't tell the mother right away she was raped, and she got sick, and the mother took a doctor, and they told her she was pregnant, and that's when she told what happened. They did catch a rapist, but the mother couldn't afford to take time off from work because she was scared she would lose her job, and so the little 13-year-old had to have a baby at 13 because there was nowhere for her to have an abortion. And she was raped. So she had to keep her, to be 13, have a baby, and to know that you were raped by somebody you didn't even want to be with, somebody you didn't want to be with. And, you know, they grabbed you, you were being frisky, as my grandmother would say, or being making sexual advances to a grown man. He did go to jail. The man did go to jail, but she had to keep the baby. The mother took the baby and adopted the baby and does everything for the baby like it's her own. She allows her to be a child because it wasn't her fault. But it's so much that's going on. But people need to stop believing the lies. Stop believing the lies. That's all I ask for people. And I'm going to end this because I did not mean to be on here this long, and I rambled enough. But I think people, when they hear what I'm saying, I think they will get they will understand what I'm trying to say. And thank you, Angela. I can always count on you or Donnie to be there for me. But I didn't think nobody. This is everybody's day off. I thought people would be sleeping in, So I'm going to do more. I'm going to do an in-depth one. I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet, but I'm going to do an in-depth one. All right, I'm going to end this video, guys, and everybody have a good 4th of July. All righty. Bye-bye.